Once upon a time, this woman lived with her family in East Harlem. Oldest of 3 siblings, 2 sisters and 1 brother. Her father had a good job, but he was a gambler. And most of the time, he lost his hard-earned money playing cards. Her mother had to work as a domestic because she could not read. So there were very few opportunities open to her. She cleaned the apartments and helped to take care of her kids with welfare assisting her sometimes. The mother's sister lived with them from time to time and often helped to pay the rent and buy the food. The children were what you would call stair steps. They were about 12 to 13 months apart. The oldest daughter realized early that the only way out of the financial bind that she watched her mother go through was education. She wanted to be a teacher. She was a good student. Reading was one of her favorite hobbies. Each night a flashlight would be used to read a book when the lights went off. Her mother could not understand her thirst for reading. She would go to the library as often as she could. She had wonderful and encouraging teachers in elementary and junior high school, which reinforced her desire to be a teacher. In the 9th grade, her music teachers prepared her to audition for Music and Art High School. However, she wasn't accepted. She shed a few tears and kept on going. The summer she was 14 was very exciting. Her first job working in a factory. The money she earned was used to buy clothes for school. She also fell in love with her best friend's cousin. She entered Washington Irving High School in September, but as the months went by, she realized she was pregnant. In February, the beginning of the next semester, she dropped out of school. She had just turned 15. She was so ashamed. She disgraced her family, she felt. She wanted to commit suicide. All the dreams of becoming a teacher seemed lost. How can this be, she thought. I want to be a teacher, not a mother. She married a young man, as that was the custom during that time, and went to live with his family in the Bronx. A beautiful baby boy was born later in the year, and 4 months later, she had a miscarriage from another child. 2 years later, when she was 17, their second son was born. She finally left her husband. Things were not going well, and she moved into one room, sharing the kitchen and the bathroom with other tenants. Her family lived close by, and they and friends helped her, but it was very difficult. She was determined to finish school. She had many mentors, many of them older women, friends of her mother and father. And they would say to her, nothing is impossible with God. One of the tenants on her floor, Margie, who is now with the ancestors, she will never forget Margie. I think Margie and her started Flex Time. She was very active in the Parents Association, and many times she had to go to a meeting during the day, and Margie would go and clean the apartments because she also was a domestic. She had to help to the money that she was receiving from the welfare. And so Margie would go and clean the apartments and get the money, and that way she was able to keep the job and also do the other activities that she was fond of. Margie was like an older sister to her, and they helped each other. When she graduated from high school, she went to night school. And when she graduated from night school, she tore a piece of the diploma off and gave it to Margie for watching her children. Later, she was given an apartment in the Bronx River houses. She remembers feeling the walls of the new apartment, 2 bedrooms, and her own kitchen. She said to herself, for nothing is impossible with God. In 1958, she was employed by the New York Public Library as a clerk. The world started looking brighter, raising her children, working full-time, and receiving promotions. When her boys were older, she started taking a few college courses, and finally she graduated from Fordham University. It took 10 years, at night, weekends. Now she wanted to be a teacher of young adults, but only in a private school. She taught teenagers in Sunday school for many years, and she loved the experience. There were no teaching positions available at the time to a person with no experience. And becoming a social worker, which was her second choice, also piqued her interest. And after a few interviews with social workers, she realized an internship in an agency was one of the requirements for a master's in social work. She knew as an intern she would not receive any salary, but it was not the end of the world. She could work with young people in the library. Her supervisor was very encouraging, and she was eligible for scholarships for tuition. She went to Queens College, and within 5 years received a master's degree in library science. Well, it was a long haul. This woman went to school 15 years at night and weekends and working full time. But she reached her goal, and a job was waiting for her. But in less than 6 months, she was hit by a car, hospitalized for 9 weeks in Bellevue, and did not walk for almost 2 years. I don't feel no way tired, come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Well, back to the drawing board she went. Finally, she returned to work and received promotions. But the ankle that was broken in the car accident was not a happy camper. It caused her a lot of pain. The pain continued. The day she took 9 aspirins for the pain in her ankle and it did not work, she knew it was time to retire. She cried all the way home when she left that job because she really loved working in the library. She kept saying, why? Why did this happen? Well, she asked God to give her 3 things. Enough money to pay her maintenance on her apartment, to travel 3 times a year, and tell stories to teenagers once a month. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, the future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Well, God gave her an abundance that is not to be believed. She has traveled all over the world: Ghana, Australia, Costa Rica, South Africa, Brazil, Tanzania, Fiji, Russia. Tell me stories. This woman believes in continuing education. In the summer of 1993, she went to San Antonio for 6 weeks for a Spanish immersion course. And she has continued to study the Spanish language and is now enrolled at FIT for Spanish. In 2000, she was hired as the artistic director of the Pearls of Wisdom. The Pearls of Wisdom are elders who tell personal stories. Some folks do it the easy way, but this woman did it her way. All the time, God was walking beside her and she didn't know it. And many times, God was carrying her as she made her struggle upward. And so, folks, I come here today to tell you the story of how I made my way. That I had to climb, that I had to know in order that I might live and grow. Sometimes the valley was filled with tears, but I kept on trudging through those lonely years. Sometimes the road was hot with sun, but I had to keep on till my work was done. I nourished a dream that nothing could smother, deep in my breast, the Negro mother. I don't feel no waist high. I don't feel no waist high. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave. All right.